What's up, Henry? So when was the last time you saw her?
She was in the house.
She was in the bed?
Yeah.
When you went to bed last night?
I'ma still look.
Because you was watching her, Henry.
I did a little look around. I didn't see Bree.
Early this summer, the Iowa State Patrol issued an Amber Alert for 10-year-old Brea Taylor when a sinister mystery in the sleepy town of Davenport, Iowa, came to light. Early in the morning, a youngster went missing. Missing. A dubious stepfather.
You don't know where your daughter is, you don't know your address, and you don't know your phone number.
And an ardent pursuit of the truth.
I can't go to sleep with that. Like, what the?
Here's Brea Terrell's story,
Nowhere.
where each new piece of information reveals another terrifying layer. Criminality.
Yes, carry it there.
Welcome back, true crime enthusiasts. Today we're going to explore the eerie. 10-year-old Brea Terrell went missing and was tragically murdered.
Picked up that skull. What did you determine?
That it was real.
Get comfortable, as this is the story. Brimming with surprising turns and shocking revelations.
Down the road in front of me and waved his arms.
Make sure to click the notification bell and subscribe buttons so you don't miss any updates from our past.
Not one of those videos can identify Brea Terrell in that Impala.
That is correct.
Let us now investigate the hidden mysteries surrounding this tragic tragedy. From the moment she was born, on December 4, 2009, in Davenport, Iowa, Brea Terrell. Mom Aisha was aware that she was unique.
And I mean, she's so playful. She's helpful. She's a big sister.
Brea was being carefree, appreciating the arts, and always willing to lend a hand.
She likes to draw. She loves to sing. She loves Moana.
The father of Brea and Aisha separated, although after a few years, Aisha began dating Henry Dinkin.
We were together for about two and a half, 3 years, you know.
They soon learned they were expecting a boy.
We have an 8-year-old boy together.
The boy's initials, DL, will be used throughout the story due to his age. Despite the fact that DL and Brea were half the same age, Brea loved assisting her parents with him. Kin at first, Henry supported Brea like a father figure, helping to raise her, but soon their relationship broke down.
Since how old was she?
My baby.
Okay.
Henry failed to show up after they parted ways. Being apart from that father figure for a long time was difficult for DL and Brea.
How long were you and Aisha together for?
Like 2 years.
Aisha's large family, however, was always there to support her, offering Brea a lot of affection and encouragement, which enabled her to develop into a responsible adult.
I know she played basketball.
Yes, carry it there.
Brea will turn 10 in 2020, according to her family. Family. She loved to express herself and had a ton of friends, the sweetest personal life.
She's amazing. She's a child anybody would want.
But she was also a true adherent to the law, not only abided by the regulations, but also ensured that others did so.
Girl, and definitely a fighter. She's not going nowhere without a fight at all.
Aisha saw her ex-boyfriend in June 2020, when COVID-19 had the world in disarray. Henry Dinkin became more receptive. Henry had moved on to a new woman. Culbertson and Henry and Andrea were very different.
Your personality, quiet. Mr. Dinkin's personality, very outspoken.
That summer, Henry started throwing cookouts for the neighborhood, which brought people together for delicious food and entertainment within the pandemic.
We stayed close friends.
But you guys stay close. So how long? So you guys
We've been friends all the way to now.
Okay. And how long ago did you guys break up? Break it off.
Henry hadn't been really involved in his son's life for a few years, so these cookouts were a way for them to get back in touch. On July 8, 2012, Brea would also come along. While traveling through Davenport, Aisha and DL noticed Henry pull into a quick shop. Aisha pulled over to let DL speak with his dad when DL excitedly pointed out his father and said he wanted to see him more. Henry decided to be more engaged after speaking with Aisha about it, and he even offered to have DL stay with him over the weekend for the previous few. Years, these cookouts offered Henry and his son DL an opportunity to rekindle their relationship, and on July 8, 2012, spending time with Henry would also bring forth Brea. While traveling in Davenport, Aisha and DL noticed Henry pull into a little shop. DL excitedly pointed out his father and told Aisha how much he wanted to see him, so Aisha pulled over so DL could speak with his father. Henry decided to be more involved after speaking with Aisha about it. and he even offered to have DL stay with him for the weekend.
Seen them, and they said they wanted to come and spend time with me.
Not wanting to leave his sister Bria behind, DL asked Henry if she could come too. Henry agreed, and the following morning, July 9, Henry arrived at approximately 11 o'clock a.m. Aisha was able to go because she knew Henry had been a part of Bria's life from the age of 2 to 5, and she thought of him as family. Aisha also had a 13-year-old son who begged to stay with Henry that weekend, but Henry turned him down and accepted Bria instead. The 13-year-old wasn't allowed to accompany Henry since there wasn't enough room in his automobile.
The 13-year-old boy, CS, expressed an interest in being able to go along as well. Henry Dinkins indicated that Briasia was welcome to come along, but he indicated that the 13-year-old boy, CS, could not come along, and the reason that he offered up for that was there was not enough room in his car for the 3 children. The day that he picked Detorius up and Briasia came along, he was operating a black Camaro, and that black Camaro had seating both for front seat passengers and back seat passengers.
There was lots of space. Bria and DL got into the car with Henry and drove off because Henry simply didn't want the 13-year-old to come. Residents, Henry brought the children to his buddy Vincent Howard's home.
They went over. There was time spent there at the Howard residence. Both of the children spent the afternoon playing video games. Mr. Deacon.
After DL and Bria had finished playing video games, Henry left the house for a while. After returning, they went home, turning.
We went down to my cousin's house, and they played with my little cousins.
That evening, Henry spent most of his time with his girlfriend in her one-bedroom apartment, though he did have a place of his own in an RV park in town. As soon as the youngsters arrived at his girlfriend's apartment building, they jumped out of the vehicle and entered Unit 8. Andrea, who worked remotely for AT&T, continued to work on her computer.
Andrea Culberson, Mr. Dinkins' girlfriend, she works for AT&T, and she actually works out of her home. She was working till sometime around 7:30 that evening. While she was working, Briasia was very, very interested in the type of work that she was doing, and Ms. Culberson was showing her how she performed her responsibilities for AT&T.
Meanwhile, DL was engaged in video game play in the living room.
The house, they start playing the games at the house, and then they took their showers, and then they got into bed, me and Andrew.
After work, Aisha discovered that Bria was missing some clothes for the weekend. She quickly went home and packed a bag for Bria and drove it to the flat. Upon there, she contacted Henry to inform him of her presence.
A complex that she was familiar with. She'd never been to the Culberson apartment before. At any rate, when she responded to the complex, she called to notify the parties that she was out in the parking lot, and Briasia came down to gather the clothing. Mom had the family pet with them, the dog. Briasia was really excited about it. In fact, Briasia wanted to take the dog with her up to the apartment. Mom had to call her back and say, no, the family pet's going home. But at any rate, it was one of those of give the clothes, love you, have a wonderful time. And then Aisha left with Briasia going back inside the apartment complex, or I should say apartment number 8, with the clothing.
Their conversation was brief because it was pouring quite a bit. Unaware that it would be the final time she saw Bria alive, Aisha watched as her daughter hurried back to apartment 8. Later that evening, Aisha returned home and had a bath. She had a busy day, and this was the first evening without her kids in a long time.
She got back to the apartment, was very tired, having worked all day, took a bath, and very simply, she fell asleep on the couch, and she was out for the evening. At some point, unbeknownst to her, the children, DL and Briasia, neither of which had cell phones, Culberson apartment, she had received a telephone call from Henry Dinkins' phone that was unanswered, and then the caller became very apparent because then there was a text message that came through from Briasia saying, good night, Mommy, I love you. All right. So that was somewhere around 10, 11 o'clock.
Aisha received a text from Henry the following morning saying, I just woke up and Bria is gone. utterly oblivious to the fact that her world was about to be entirely turned upside down. Aisha began calling him right away. When he eventually did respond, he stated that they all went to sleep and that by the time they woke up, Bria had they tried again to understand, but he didn't respond. Did not respond.
Called me and she said, Mom, Bria missing. I'm like, what you mean Bria missing? She said, Henry said Bria.
Henry struggled to find words. Aisha lost her mind.
Was he communicating to you about his location and what he was doing?
He wasn't necessarily communicating anything. He said that he was out looking for her and he was going to make a police report.
Okay. When you spoke with Mr. Dinkins, did it become clear to you that he had not yet reported Briasia as missing?
He claimed that he and DL were traveling to the police station in a car. Aisha hung up and made her own police call.
Noticed Mr. Dinkins and Paula flying down the opposite way, making a really hard turn on, I think it's a left turn on Eastern.
However, while she was traveling, she saw Henry's automobile rushing through the opposing traffic flow of the police station.
Mr. Dinkins and Paula flying down the opposite way, making a really hard turn on, I think it's a left turn on Eastern.
After pulling up behind him, Aisha turned around and began to lay on her horn.
I was calling his phone, and when I finally got him on the phone, he said that he was headed to Jersey Meadows because they wanted to talk to him out there. And I was still on his bumper, honking the horn, and we had pulled over by the McDonald's on.
Henry began babbling about how he needed to turn around to obtain his home address since he didn't know it. Nothing made sense. After Aisha and Henry got back into their cars and Aisha followed Henry to the apartment, she also observed that Henry's shoes were covered in mud. They called the Davenport Police Department, and an officer was dispatched to meet them.
And Henry lives here?
Yeah, I guess so. This is where he told me to come.
Okay.
He don't even know how long she's even been gone.
At 8:55 a.m., an officer showed up outside the residence after picking up details of the Bria with his son DL. By his side, Henry walks up to the policeman.
What's up, Henry? So when was the last time you saw her?
She was in the house.
Yeah, when was the last time you saw her?
9:30.
Last night?
9:30.
Okay. Okay.
With him.
Okay. When was the last time you saw her?
She was in the bed when I woke up this morning.
She was in the bed?
Yeah.
When you went to bed last night? Okay.
This is crazy, man. This is like, you know what I'm saying? I know she going fucking hysterical, big brother.
Yeah. DIN.
KINS.
Suddenly, Henry is unable to remember his address. In addition, he has lost his daughter and is unaware of his own phone number.
Is this your home address?
No.
What's your address?
It's down by Ralston Carina.
I
just know that.
You don't know your address?
I don't know the full address.
Do you know your phone number?
Hell no, I don't even know that either. I swear to God, I don't.
Henry, you don't know where your daughter is, you don't know your address, and you don't know your phone number.
No, for real. I'm finna give it to you now. You think I'll be lying, but...
Well, no, it's just... It's kind of...
I don't call myself.
I know, but you gotta know your number. You gotta know your address. So this is your girlfriend's address here?
This is good friend.
He is unable to recall any details at all, for sure.
She last wearing...
In the bed.
What you have on, some shorts?
What color?
I don't remember. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you.
What's her height and weight, you think?
She's a little taller than he is.
She's this tall.
Okay.
She's a little taller than that. She's probably about like this here.
Okay. What's her hair look like?
She has dreads. Long.
Dreads.
Long.
Long and dreads hair?
Yep.
Like shoulder length or middle of the back?
Down here.
Okay. Mid-back, dreads. Right? Is that how we would label that?
Yes.
She had shorts on.
Did she still have a white shirt on?
She had she had the shirt that you gave her.
The white shirt.
All white?
All white t-shirt, yep.
Following the information gathering, the officer queries Henry about his search for Bria. Henry responds that he did not ask any of the neighbors as he is unfamiliar with them, but he does go about looking for her.
I'm going to ask you who have you called? What doors have you knocked on?
I don't know these people out here.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But I called her.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And she told me she was at work. At first, I was riding around looking. Then, me and my son started riding around looking.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And then,
So how long ago did you? Has it been an hour?
It's been a couple hours.
Couple hours?
Couple hours.
The policeman then looks at Aisha.
We called family.
I've called everybody. I have my uncle out riding around. My mom's on her way out here. My friend's on their way out here.
We've been every fucking where.
And she's gonna be with a friend inside some apartment.
That's
most
why
likely.
I said I'm gonna still look.
Okay.
We don't know anybody out here though. That's the thing. She would have never. She would have never. First of all, she would have never woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and she would have never.
What you mean? 8 o'clock in the morning.
I'm just saying.
That ain't what I said. I never said.
I know you
guys,
didn't say that.
This isn't the time to fight.
Exactly. I don't give a f about you walking, nigga. You lost her though.
How did I fucking lose?
Because you was watching her, Henry. What the f do you mean?
Then Aisha chooses to leave, leaving the officer unsure of how to assist and dot them.
I'm gone, sir. Come on, D.
Listen to me.
Fuck that. I'm gone.
Well, you guys gotta come together right now. This isn't a time to fight about it. Okay. So, well, hey, if you, how am I supposed to? What do you want me to do?
I got everything, bro. I got nothing. You see how she stepped on me? You know what
I mean,
I
got no picture. I got no. What do you want me to do?
What am I supposed to do?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I get it,
All I have to do is
Henry.
look.
I get it.
Aisha was obviously upset, so she decided to return home and assist her family in the hunt. As soon as Aisha departs, the police walks over to the apartment to make sure that Bria isn't just hiding somewhere. At this moment, he also has a conversation with Andrea, Henry's girlfriend, who hasn't even left the building.
Hi there. Are you Andrea?
Yeah.
Okay, Andrea. What's your date of birth, Andrea?
9.
So, tell me about, like, when was the last time you saw her?
She was here.
When?
What time was I? Probably sleep like around 11 midnight. She was here. She was in bed sleeping.
Okay. And you guys never heard her come down, walk out? There's no forced entry or anything like that?
No forced entry, no.
Okay. Do you mind if I just come in and take a quick look? I'm not concerned about anything else. I just want to come in because probably 50% of the time we still find them inside the place when this happens. And
I kind of do my face kind of a wreck right now.
what's that?
My face is kind of in a wreck.
Listen, I go in all sorts of places. I don't care how big.
Is he aware of this?
What's that?
Is he aware of this?
Yeah. What's her name again? Was there any fights or arguments or anything last night? Bree is her name? Where was she sleeping at? Your bed? So where were you guys sleeping at last night? You guys slept out here? Can you look in the closet again?
That's all closed.
I know, I'm just telling you, you'd be surprised what we've...
I know, right?
So she was sleeping in the bed with her brother? And you guys slept out here?
The officer calls Bria out to assist in their search because she was nowhere to be found in the flat.
Okay, are you going to come out and help look or not?
Prior to us reaching the station for the interview, he visited his mother and sister's apartment. As you can see, he was dressed identically but with different shoes during Henry's interview. Via law enforcement, after chatting with her family, it was evident that Bria didn't run away on her own, even though other officers were still searching the area surrounding the apartment as the hours went by.
With respects to running off, I was told by Aisha Langford, the mother of Briasia, that she does not run off. She would not leave an area unfamiliar. It wasn't something that she did even when she was at home in familiar territory. It was not something that she had ever done.
In the early hours of July 10, the officers also looked through security footage from surrounding businesses to see if Bria was visible. However, instead of locating Bria, They noticed Henry's maroon Chevy Impala traveling all over the town. When Henry arrived at the police station in 2020, one of the first things the detectives wanted to know was the location of the Impala.
Is her car parked out front?
No.
No. Where's her Impala at?
Her Impala's with my homie right now.
When Henry is questioned by the investigator, he discusses his son and their connection.
There is Aisha Langford.
Aisha Langford.
Okay. And then do you have any other biological?
No, I raised Briasia.
Since how old was she?
My baby.
Okay. And so you raised her with Aisha?
Yes.
How long were you and Aisha together for?
Like 2 years. But we stayed close friends.
Henry eventually agreed to take the detective through that evening's events. He said that the kids had gone to bed and that he had left the apartment in the middle of the night to visit a friend, but the buddy wasn't home, so he claims he discovered Breo was missing when he returned.
And then when I left, I think I went down to Lil Ben's house, but nobody was there. And when I came back, you know, I did a little look around. I didn't see Bree. No, that wasn't that time. I don't remember. No, that's a lie. That's a bald-faced lie. It wasn't even at that time. What time was it? I don't ever look at the time, so I mean, I'm really confused with the time. But I know when I went and looked for Bree, so I only seen Lil Dink in the bed.
Okay.
And I left, so I went like moving around, and I
left the apartment,
the apartment, yeah, and went like out and about, you know, where she was living, and out there in I don't know the apartment buildings out there. I don't know.
Andrea was awake when he returned.
And I realized, you know what I'm saying, like I said, I went looking around. Then when I came back, Andrea was...
After returning from another trip to the fast shop to buy cigarettes, Henry stated that his son DL was awake, and they spent the remainder of the morning looking for Bria until he opted to phone Aisha in the end.
I texted his mom. She was at work, and she was like, hey, Bree's missing. She's like, well, you stop playing with me. You know what I'm saying? Stop playing with me, Henry. So I'm like, man, no, I'm not playing. I'm for real. And she was like, stop playing with me. I said, look, man, I'm not playing. So I gave Dink the phone. Dink told her, like, Mom, you know, we don't know where she at. So then he handed me the phone back, and I'm like, I got to talk to him, like, man, your mom mad at me. He said, Dad, I don't understand why Mom mad at you. You know, you haven't done nothing. And I'm like, I mean, but I'm still responsible.
Aisha was shocked to learn that Bria had vanished. She initially laughed it off, but when reality sank in, she became very irate.
And she was like...
You and Aisha met up?
Yeah,
or
at Burger King.
Okay.
And Aisha was like really upset. And I said, you know what I'm saying, I understand how you coming. I feel what you're saying right now, but, you know, you stressing out right now, it's not going to help us out right now. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We have to figure this shit out, you know? So I was like, well, you're responsible, you know, and it made me feel so fucking bad because, you know, I am responsible, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I just, like I said, I was like lost. Didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say to her. I was lost for words. I couldn't even.
And so Aisha decides to dial 911, at which point the policemen showed up at Andrea's flat.
I'm gonna call somebody to come out there to Andrea's apartment. I said, okay, you know what I'm saying? So we went out there. When the dude approached, you know what I'm saying?
The dude as in?
The officer.
Okay. So did you call 911?
No, she did. I told her I was gonna go to the police station at first. She said, no, let's go to the apartment. You know what I'm saying? So I said, well, we can call at the apartment, you know what I'm saying? And Aisha was like, because first I'm thinking like, she ain't really missing. You know what I mean? Something, you know what I'm saying? Maybe something, I don't know. But once it really set in that can't nobody find her, that's when it hit me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know.
Again, Henry was unable to provide the officer with the precise moment when he noticed Bria was missing. The moment.
And then what happened after that?
Nothing.
No, well, okay. So but then you got back.
And then like I said, I got back. I don't know what time it was, sir.
Okay, that's fine. We can move past that.
All I know is,
at one point or another, you noticed that Bree is not in the
room.
Okay. And so, what do you do immediately after you notice Bree's not?
I go outside.
Go outside. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's the first thing I did. You know what I'm saying? You know, I went outside.
Okay. And then, like, just around the area, or did you get in a car and drive somewhere?
I went around the area first.
Okay.
And then I started moving around, like trying to get close within the areas. You know what I mean? Trying to look to see if she was walking, you know what I'm saying, or whatever.
And for the sake of, I'm not looking to hand me off on a driving charge. If you went and drove and tried to find her in certain places,
I went in the area where, out there, you know what I'm saying, like trying to see
around the apartment complex.
No, like outside, you know what I'm saying, like when I put in, I would have
like those businesses and stuff like that.
No, like the streets.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying, like, you know what I'm
the
saying?
Nearby streets.
I don't know what streets. I mean, I don't. Like the streets that would go back, the streets that would go forward. You know what I'm saying? It was like by Blockbusters.
Henry informs the investigator that after looking for Bria and talking with the police officer, he is having trouble remembering exactly what he did that morning, which is always suspicious. Drove his mother's Impala home.
Car not here. You know what I mean?
I came straight here.
I get that, but the car that you were driving is the Impala, and the Impala's not here.
I didn't say I was driving the Impala.
Well, you came in the Impala.
I never said I was driving the Impala.
So you left the apartments in the Impala, right?
Yes.
Okay. So at what point did you not have the Impala anymore?
What do that got to do with the Impala? I mean,
because you left there in a vehicle, and that's.
I mean, I'm not trying to make it hard on you.
Yeah, I get it.
But I mean, literally, as for the situation with the driving aspect, you know.
I'm not looking for the driving. I'm looking for the car.
I'm keeping that solo with the.
No, that's fine. I'm more concerned about the car.
I mean, if you want to check the car, you can check the car.
Yeah, we would like to do that.
Yes,
probably.
You can, without a problem.
Where is the car currently?
It's reachable.
Reachable as in.
I can get it to you guys at any time. That's basically what I'm saying.
And also to backtrack.
I mean, one thing about me, I mean, like I said, if I had any issues, I would have never came down.
Curiously, Henry said his friend drove him to the police station in the Impala and drove around town. Shortly after the interview, officers discovered the Impala parked a block from the police station, indicating that Henry had driven there on his own. The investigator wanted to know who Henry had texted and called that morning, so he walked over to the police station to avoid looking into it after the interview.
Was there any texts going around like about this situation, or is it just the phone calls?
I think there was like one or two texts.
One or two texts?
If I'm not mistaken.
Okay. And so would you be fine if we downloaded the phone to have the call logs and the texts?
For what reason?
To corroborate everything here about the call logs and the texts. It helps everyone out.
Download my phone.
To get the call logs to show that those calls were made at those certain times.
I can show you my phone. I can just show you my phone.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? You want to see? I can just show you my phone. I mean, I can just open up my phone and let you go on my phone.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
What's the passcode to the phone?
Just give me my phone now, and I'll open it up for you.
Okay. Will you open up right in front of me?
Right. Yeah, I'll open it right here. Cool.
So if you want to just take while I go grab your phone. If you want to just take a closer look, and if there's anything that's sticking out, be sure to mark it, okay?
I mean, what is there to stick out? But
like, for sure.
At this point, the investigator leaves the room to get Henry's phone, setting down a map and instructing Henry to mark every location he drove to that morning in search of Bria. Henry stays completely away from the marker in front of him. When the investigator eventually returns, holding his phone, Henry becomes quite suspicious as he enters his password.
Well, that's what I asked.
No, I said I will open it for you.
Yeah,
but
I'm
not going to give you my password.
Okay.
I will open it for you so you can look at my phone, but I'm not going to give you my password.
Okay. And then you're just going to lock it?
Yes, but after you finish looking. I will let you look in there. I have no problem with you looking.
Okay.
That's something I don't have no problem.
Okay.
The entire town of Davenport was looking for Brea Terrell during Henry's interrogation. Sadly, there have been no sightings of the 10-year-old, but they have plenty of clues. For example, Henry's Chevy Impala was seen driving back and forth to different locations around Davenport starting at 2:13 a.m. He clearly has something on his phone that he doesn't want them to see. Finally, he remembers his password. The story he kept giving investigators didn't add up, so they started to have serious doubts about him. Eventually, search warrants were executed on the apartment, Henry's car, his RV, and everything else. But by dusk, there was still no sign of Brea. However, when they searched the AA, they did find a child's flip-flop.
So there was a flip-flop that they found down there, and we just want to make sure if it's something she would wear or not, if it was hers, okay?
However, after her mother, Aisha, established that it wasn't related to Brea, Aisha came to the realization that, as the day was drawing to a close, they still hadn't located her daughter.
But that's a blessing. That's a blessing.
So
Thank you.
we're going down to the station. So with everything,
No, that's not hers.
so there's behind the scenes type stuff. Okay, we're doing search warrants. We're doing pinging the phones. Okay. Okay. But we have his mobile home down there. The FBI is down there. Everybody is working on it, okay? It doesn't end, okay?
I know, but it's 9:31 and I haven't heard from her. There's no way. I know. No, that's not her shoe. It's
No,
not her
we
shoe.
just had to make sure, okay?
Yeah, but we appreciate it. I can't go to sleep with that. Like, what the It's 9:30 and she's nowhere. Nowhere. I can't even.
Nothing that may formally link Henry to Breas was discovered after they combed through his RV. Absence.
This is State's Exhibit 810.
This is basically from the door looking towards the rear of the camper.
And can you just describe what different items are being shown here in this photograph?
This shows the kitchen and then a hallway leading to a bedroom.
State's Exhibit 812. What's being shown here?
This is from the doorway looking towards the front of the camper.
And State's Exhibit 813.
This is basically staining in the kitchen with a view towards the back of the camper.
Nonetheless, they did discover there was a weird item in the bedroom.
From the entry of the bedroom into the bedroom at the rear of the camper.
So 817. What's being shown here?
This is the bed and the exterior windows.
State's Exhibit 820. What's being shown here?
Underneath the bed.
And what does appear to be underneath the bed?
Appears to be a small table.
And in the upper left-hand corner of this photograph, what is being shown?
There's a bottle of bleach cleaner.
Showing you State's Exhibit 821. What is being shown here?
This is the closet in the bedroom.
State's Exhibit 822. What's being shown here?
Items in the closet.
They found more suspicious cleaning supplies.
Now, when you were in this RV, approximately how tall are you?
I am 6 foot tall.
While you were standing there looking at the microwave, were you able to observe that machete just visually from how high you are, or how tall you are, excuse me?
Yes, I could see the machete from my height, yes.
Henry Dinkin was their top suspect, despite speculative evidence. He had been registered as an offender in 1990 when he was 17 years old, and he had been found guilty of third-degree sexual assault on a juvenile from 2007 to 2014. Investigators discovered that Henry never registered as an offender in that location, which violated his offender registration requirements alone. Henry was detained at least 5 times for operating a car while inebriated. Henry acknowledged that he had been residing with his girlfriend Andrea. placed him in jail, and forbade him from interacting with minors in any way, even though they knew he was probably responsible for Bree's abduction. It's interesting that following his detention, searches for graphic videos of minors were discovered on his phone. Months passed with no sign of Bree, suggesting that she was probably dead. Yet even in prison, Henry would not admit what had happened to her. Intriguingly, Henry's cellmate stated that he made an odd remark after seeing the news report on Bree's disappearance, which garnered attention for the case throughout Iowa even while she was incarcerated.
Said to me they would never find her.
News story came on and broadcasted that they were continually looking for her, and
About 8 months after Bree's disappearance, on March 22, 2021, 3 friends got together to go fishing on Credit Island in West Davenport. The men parked their cars and then walked down a steep embankment to get to the pond. As they descended, one man saw something white in the brush. The group walked over it, and one of them actually picked it up. The cellmate claimed that Henry never admitted to killing her, but the comment was very off-putting. It was evident that he knew exactly where Bree's body was. Didn't know they were holding a human skull until later. By then, they had identified the victim's race and observed hair at the site. They called 911. Even though the Davenport Police Department did not know the identification of the victim, they quickly processed the crime scene and took the body to the medical examiner for an autopsy. They discovered the victim was a young African-American girl who had died from numerous gunshot wounds.
Yes, it's common procedure once all the elements that are on the surface there are recovered to take a trowel and scrape the soil. Sometimes over periods of time, elements can kind of sink into the soil. So I did that about 1 centimeter deep in that area of the remains.
As a result of that process, did you make any further discoveries?
Yes, I found a few additional teeth and then 2 artifacts that were later determined to be bullets.
The first bullet penetrated her back through her jaw.
There was a semicircular defect to the inferior portion of the left mandible, which was consistent with a bullet impact traveling left to right through that mandible portion.
After conducting a DNA examination on the skin tissue that was still on her thigh and comparing the results with those of Bree's mother, Aisha, it was confirmed that the body found on. Yes, Credit Island was really that good.
We've received confirmation that the remains are those of Breesia Terrell.
In the course of their investigation, they uncovered a ton of evidence connecting Henry to Bree's disappearance and subsequent murder. As a result, they charged him, and prosecutors began preparing for trial. This is how it happened on July 9 and 10, 2020, according to the authorities. After Aisha dropped off that bag of clothes for her daughter Bria and her brother DL, they kicked back and played it safe, playing video games inside apartment 8, but as night fell, Henry asked the children to take a bath. After the bath, the kids had dinner together, and Bria was the first to go to bed. That night, Bria and her friend Andrea slept on the blow-up mattress in the living room, while Henry and the others played video games.
Person had a blow-up mattress that was out in the living room on the floor where she and Mr. Dinkins were to sleep. Breesia was the first one to go to bed, and from the living room you could actually look through the door of the bedroom and you could see the bed, because if you're standing at the doorway of the bedroom, very simply you look forward and the bed is straight ahead of you.
At approximately 11:30 p.m., Bria went to bed by herself. Andrea, curled up on a living room air mattress, she last remembered Henry instructing his kid to stop playing the video game and go to bed, which he did.
In the living room on the floor where she and Mr. Dinkins were to sleep. Breesia was the first one to go to bed, and from the living room you could actually look through the door of the bedroom and you could see the bed, because if you're standing at the doorway of the bedroom, very simply you look forward and the bed is straight ahead of you.
Just after midnight, DL and his sister went to bed, and Henry took a seat on the couch. However, Henry didn't manage to get any rest. It appears that he was thinking about some really sinister things about 2 in the afternoon. He took action based on those ideas, rousing Bria from her slumber. Together, they strolled towards the front door, where Andrea was not present. Like a light, yet DL was conscious of what was happening. He observed his dad and sister leaving the apartment, and his dad continued to talk to Bria about cars from that point on. At 23 a.m., Henry and Bria get into his maroon Chevy Impala, and the car is shown on camera traveling north on Schmid Road.
5:15, and going up to the 6 o'clock hour. That maroon Chevy Impala travels west past the Quick Start. That maroon Chevy Impala is then identified from video surveillance at a residence on Judson Court, which actually the video surveillance camera was focused out on Eastern. So the rear of that residence for...
Soon after, the Impala is seen on camera parked at Henry's RV location, which is now located at 743 Schmidt Road. The RV was quite simple. It had a bed, no running water, no power, and no Bree's DNA. But they did discover bleach inside.
It's being shown here.
Underneath the bed.
And what does appear to be underneath the bed?
Appears to be a small table.
And in the upper left-hand corner of this photograph, what is being shown?
There's a bottle of bleach cleaner.
The prosecution was able to prove that Henry had enticed Bria inside his apartment and attacked her there because he knew he couldn't carry it out with Andrea and DL there, so he moved her to the RV where he, after attacking Bria, he thought he could get away with it and cleaned the area thoroughly to hide his footprints. Henry sensed that she might turn on him. Interview 4522-4555. Tips upon returning to the Jersey Meadow apartments at 3 in the morning, Andrea, Henry's girlfriend, woke up and went to the bathroom. When she got there, though, she seemed peculiar. Observed that Henry and Bria had vanished from sight. Andrea's gut felt like DL was in bed, but Bria was gone right away. She even groped for her phone to call Henry and find out where he was, so twisted with fear.
After you fell asleep, was there any point in the night that you woke up?
Yes.
When did that occur?
It was like at 3 o'clock in the morning. Nature called, so I went and I kind of glanced over. Had no glasses on, so everything was kind of fuzzy. So I saw that she was not there, so I was like, okay, let me go get my glasses so I can see. And I felt on the bed. So I'm like, okay, she's not here. And my first reaction...
Nevertheless, she discovers his phone lying on the counter when she goes to call him. Andrea told her that she was feeling sick. Stomach, she found it impossible to even go back to sleep.
Did you check?
I checked the bathroom again, just in case. I checked the bedroom. I checked the living room. I checked the kitchen. I checked everywhere.
At 3:30 in the morning, Andrea waited in the living room as both Bria and her boyfriend left. The sound of the front door opening reached her.
Dinkins suggests that there was some type of medical emergency for Briasia?
No.
Did Mr. Dinkins communicate to you that he would have reached out to her mother because the child wanted to go home?
No.
Was there any type of emotional disturbance within the apartment to suggest that Briasia had gotten upset in the middle of the night and wanted to go home?
Absolutely not.
All right. From there, then, when you noticed that Mr. Dinkins was gone, you noticed that Briasia was gone, what did you do?
First thing I did was try to call him. Mr. Dinkins.
What happened when you tried to call him?
It rang and it went to voicemail.
All right. Did you try to call him more than once?
Yes.
What happened?
Same thing.
Did you subsequently discover something?
Did I discover something? No.
About his phone?
Oh, it was off.
Okay.
After I got done calling him, there was no answer. I stayed up.
Okay.
I didn't have his phone. I didn't have Miss Langsford's number, so I couldn't call her. So I just stayed up.
Okay. When you say that you stayed up, what room were you located in?
Living room.
Okay. When you stayed up, did you turn the lights on?
No.
Describe then the environment within the apartment.
So when I got done going to the bathroom, it was dark. No lights, nothing was on. And then heard someone softly coming up the stairs.
He didn't realize it. Andrea was up and about already. She observes that Henry is wearing the first thing. Different attire.
When I saw him, he had on a whole different outfit. So I don't know.
All right. Let's talk about the description of his outfit. Do you recall what Mr. Dinkins was wearing when you fell asleep?
I do.
What was he wearing when you fell asleep?
Kind of like a white beater and colorful shorts, like white, blue, and pink.
All right. And then when he came up, the stairs, what do you remember, if anything, about what he had on?
I would say like a white t-shirt and some blue shorts that look like bandana pattern and some sneakers.
Upon reaching the summit, Andrea starts posing inquiries concerning his whereabouts and activities, but he stays quiet.
I was like, what's going on? Where are you going? What's going on? And he's like, I'll be back.
Henry merely went into the closet to grab something, not even replying to her. As he tucked it inside his, Andrea was unable to discern what he had grabbed. Waistband, yet the prosecution claimed it was his firearm.
Inside the room in the closet, grabbing something. What is he grabbing? I do not know.
At this point, Andrea peeks out of their bedroom window and notices Brea, positioned outside next to the Chevrolet Impala.
Out the window and saw Brea outside of the car. So now my heart's like, okay, she is with him, she's safe, but yeah, it just seemed weird to me, but I didn't know what to say.
All right.
Andrea wasn't able to get over her anxiety, even if she was pleased to see Brea unharmed. So Henry leaves the apartment together with Brea.
Him go down the staircase?
Yes.
Did you continue to watch out the window?
I did.
What did you observe happening?
The car pulling off.
And was Breasia in the car when it pulled off?
Now, the windows are tinted, you can't see through.
Okay, so at the point in time that he's in the closet, had you looked away from the window?
Yes.
Okay, and then when he's going down the stairs, do you go back to the window?
I do.
Had he already gotten inside the vehicle?
Yes.
And was at the point in time that he was pulling away?
Yes.
At the point in time he was pulling away, did you see Breasia anywhere in the parking?
After roughly 2 minutes at 3:33 a.m., that Henry was being questioned when his Chevy Impala pulled into a neighboring quick shop. He acknowledged going there, but he insisted he was simply buying cigarettes. However, video footage from inside the business shows that he also bought $35 worth of gas, paying with cash to avoid leaving. They travel to Credit Island, where Henry parks the car by the side of the road and tells Brea to get out. He then gestures toward the woods, telling her to follow him in the pouring rain. Once they are far enough into the woods, they descend a steep embankment toward a large pond. After firing twice at Brea, Henry runs back to the car, leaving her body in the woods before it gets dark, about 4:30 a.m. Henry panics and gets out of the car to try to call for assistance when he starts the engine, but discovers that the car is stuck in the mud because of the heavy rain.
Okay, describe that person for me.
Black man wearing white shorts, white shoes.
Okay, describe his physical features. Was he tall, short, heavy set, thin?
Similar to my height.
How height? What's your height?
6'2", about 6 foot, little heavier build than me.
Okay.
I mean 250, 260.
This is 4:30 in the morning?
Real close.
And this guy is just walking down the highway?
No, he jumped out in the lane in front of me.
Okay, what did he do?
I stopped the truck. Good thing I was paying attention, or else could have had an accident.
Sure.
He come up to the driver window and asked me to pull him out of the ditch.
All right, so you're pretty close to this guy?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you roll your window down. He comes up to the driver's side window?
Correct.
Did you notice anything about his face? Could you describe his face for me?
Black man.
Was he wearing glasses?
I don't recall them. He had a mole right here.
Thankfully, Jared Brink, a passing driver, stops to help.
How do you encounter this person in the ditch?
It was about 4:30 in the morning.
Using a chain, Jared extracts the Impala from the muck.
From the mud.
I had a chain in the back of my pickup. I was lucky. It was a 4-foot chain. I crawled underneath the front of his car, hooked it up to the cross member, and drove my truck, and it just come out easy.
So when you jerked him out real quick, you unhooked the chains and drove away?
Uh-huh.
Yes?
Yes.
Did you ever get the guy's name?
No.
Was there anybody with the guy?
No.
Could you see inside his car?
Yes.
There wasn't a child with him?
No.
And was this time of day, this is your usual shift, like 5 o'clock a.m.?
Somewhere around there. I'm a supervisor, so I come and go as I see fit.
The entire process took a minute or two. They didn't say much, but they had an intriguing dialogue right before the conclusion.
So after you pulled it out, did you have a conversation with the guy? Did he say thank you and stuff, or offer you any money?
He was very appreciative, and more than once he offered me $100, and I didn't accept it. I just said, do something nice for somebody else, and went on my way.
Had you ever seen this guy before?
No.
Have you ever seen him since?
No.
How did you become involved? How did you then become involved in this particular case?
It was after they found the body.
Okay.
I was at a friend's house having a beer, and that's when he said they found a body, and we were talking about it.
It is imperative to note that the subsequent Bree's situation receiving media attention, Jared revealed his story in public.
That is that I pulled a guy out of the ditch there about a year ago around that area.
Okay, so you saw a picture.
No.
You just said you pulled a guy out.
A guy out. He asked me what kind of a car it was, and I remembered what kind of car it was. He had his wife send me a picture of the flyer that was posted around town or whatever, and that's when I decided I had to call the police department.
So the car looks similar?
Identical.
Pardon me?
Identical.
Did anybody ever have you look at a photograph or a photographic array and try to identify the person who was with the car?
I can't recall.
So no one had you look at a picture and say, is this the guy?
I can't recall, no.
But you recall it being a cool day, right?
It seemed cool.
He gave detectives who have access to Henry's exact bodily description.
Individual's physical build, how would you describe his physical build?
6 foot tall, 250.
Okay, and when you were speaking with law enforcement, do you recall telling them that you didn't remember him being that bigly built, but they did have a big frame?
Yes.
Now, during your discussions with law enforcement, did they ask you whether or not you would be able to pick him out of a photo lineup? And you indicated that you didn't know if you would be able to do that?
Yeah, I don't remember that part of the conversation.
And I've got a report here of your interview with the officer. I don't know if it would help you if you would want to review that real quickly. That way we could definitively put that issue to rest.
He is 48.
Yeah, at 45 it went downhill bad.
All right. And the time frame then that you would have had contact with this individual, would that have been about what time?
That morning.
Right.
About 4:20, 4:15, and...
Jared did, however, turn in his cell phone to the police, allowing them to verify his whereabouts around 4:30 a.m. Jared saw that on July 10, minutes after Henry had committed the act, there was nobody else inside the Chevy Impala.
You ever get the guy's name?
No.
Was there anybody with the guy?
No.
Could you see inside his car?
Yes.
There wasn't a child with him?
No.
After being set free, Henry went back to his Jersey Meadow Apartments unit on Highway 61. Before 5:30 a.m., 8-year-old DL woke up once more, and Andrea saw that he had started crying.
He woke up, and I told him your sister's gone, and then he started tearing up.
He started tearing up?
Mm-hmm.
Explain what you mean by that.
Like starting to cry.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Tearing up.
Yeah.
All right. Then when Detoria started to tear up, or DL started to tear up, goodness, what did you do to try and calm the child down?
I told him to come in the living room and lay down, because I don't want you to come in the living room. And he did. And then not too long after, Mr. Jenkins shows up, grabs him, and they go.
All right.
At 5:55 a.m., Andrea and DL were sitting in the living room. Henry came home alone and seemed at ease. Andrea persisted in her inquiries, but Henry never provided an answer.
Did you ask him about Briasia and where she was at?
I did not.
Okay. Did Mr. Dinkins make any statements to you about there were issues that had developed?
No.
He'd instructed DL to grab his backpack, and Henry tried to leave his phone behind, but Andrea insisted he keep it, so the two departed.
And once it charged up and he came, I'm like, here, take your phone so I can call you.
All right.
And he took it.
Ignorant of the circumstances, after DL and his father drove around for about 45 minutes, they decided to go to the Walmart in Clinton. Of the Davenport store, believing their purchases would remain untraced.
Mr. Dinkins first enter the parking lot in that maroon Chevy Impala.
It's going to be coming up here shortly, right before 6:50.
Okay, and then can you give us a sense of what direction it will be coming into the parking lot?
I can point to it on the screen.
Is that the maroon Chevy Impala that's coming in?
That is.
Okay.
Come from the top right to the left of the screen.
And then the time generally would be what?
6:50.
At 6:58 a.m., they came. Miss Henry was dressed identically.
Mr. Dinkins dressed.
Gold shoes. Appears to be the same shorts that we had him, that he was wearing when he came down to the police station. White T-shirt.
He proceeded straight to the area with cleaning supplies.
Where are we at in the store now?
Just from the view of the video footage, it looks like there's...
Whilst Henry stayed in the car and purchased bleach inside.
When Henry got to Walmart, what did you do?
I had to sit in the car.
You had to sit in the car?
Yes.
What did Henry do?
He went inside Walmart.
He carelessly played with his father's while he was seated in the automobile. Telephone.
For a written record, what is Mr. Dinkins doing?
He has scanned one bottle of bleach, but from the receipt we can tell that he scans it twice to pay for 2 bottles.
And then how does he pay for it?
With cash.
DL and his father proceeded to Credit Island when Henry got back to the car. There, Henry got a mash sheet and some bleach before going into the woods by yourself, while DL waited in the vehicle.
So he could go fishing with them? Where were you?
In the car. I had to sit in the car by myself.
You sat in the car? Did you see your dad get anything out of the car?
He complained he grabbed some bleach, and what I saw in his trunk, he pulled it out. It was a knife.
He had some bleach? And a knife?
Yeah. Bleach and knife.
What kind of knife?
It's some big knives.
After slicing through the brush with the machete to hide her remains, he covered everything with bleach to remove any evidence of his DNA. When he got back to in the drive, DL made up a narrative to explain that he had gone fishing with pals earlier that morning. Do you have any idea where he went fishing this morning? DL was curious about what was going on.
Do you know where he went fishing this morning? Do you think you could take me that way?
I don't remember that way.
What if I drove you down that way?
It's a long way.
That's okay.
I don't remember. I don't remember where he was at.
Okay. So
just a place that he got stuck.
He got stuck? His car
He needed another push.
Who helped push him?
The 6 people that he went fishing with.
So this morning, after your sister left, he came back and got you, and then he went fishing. Did you see his fishing poles?
He didn't have any.
He didn't have no fishing poles?
He bought it where he can fish with them.
He what?
He bought it where he can fish with them.
So he had the fishing poles?
He borrowed them borrowed the fishing poles from other people?
Did you actually see your dad with fishing poles? Or did he tell you he went fishing?
He told me he went fishing.
But he left you in the car?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you saw him with bleach and a knife?
Yeah.
Okay.
Big knife.
A big knife. And he cleaned it?
Yeah.
Okay. What, did you ask him about that?
No.
Okay.
It's horrifying to think that, in addition to doing such a horrible deed against a 10-year-old girl, he also dragged his 8-year-old kid along with him in an effort to hide his traces after leaving Credit Island and returning to. DL stayed in the car at Henry's RV, while his father cleaned the mash sheet with a rag before putting it inside.
His trunk.
His trunk?
And then he washed it off.
He washed off what?
The knife.
Washed it off with what though?
Some bleach and some, a rag. He washed it off with a rag.
Henry has taken several steps to hide his actions by now. He used a brush to cover Bree's body, poured bleach inside his RV at the dump, cleaned up with bleach, and wiped down the mash sheet he used at Credit Island throughout the morning. Henry also made cash purchases during this time, and he thought his phone was off. Henry was convinced that he had successfully covered his tracks. When Bree's body was found in March 2021, Henry Dinkin became the main suspect in Aisha's disappearance. Despite the sleepless night he spent hiding his tracks around town after Breeze's murder in his RV, suspicion eventually fell on him after the charges were brought against him. The trial began in August 2023, and Henry entered a not guilty plea.
With the murder of 10-year-old Breasia Terrell of Davenport has pleaded not guilty.
Choosing a bench trial in which a judge renders the verdict rather than a jury, Henry began his legal journey, although this trial didn't provide it. Officials searched Henry's RV but were unable to locate Brea's DNA, probably because Henry had cleaned it carefully. Because of the lack of tangible evidence, the case was simple to convict.
That?
Yes.
Was the bleach bottle stored underneath it?
A mash sheet with white fibers hiding behind the microwave and bleach next to the bed suggested recent use. Tidying.
As I was looking at it, I could see what appeared to be some type of white cloth.
Likewise, Bree's DNA wasn't discovered in the Impala, implying that Henry had also cleaned it.
Trace evidence that connected any of the items you examined to Breasia Terrell.
Decomposition at the dumping site obscured physical evidence, although the presence of sharp object marks on branches suggested the use of the mash sheet despite the absence of visible. Jared Brink's testimony proved to be invaluable. The prosecution mostly used security footage of Henry driving and buying bleach.
At 2:29 a.m., headlights are captured leaving a lot off Schmidt Road. That's the same lot where Dinkin's RV was parked. From 2:51 a.m. to 2:53 a.m., we see a sedan entering Credit Island and then leave.
DL and Andrea's testimony was very important. By 2023, DL, who would have been 11 years old, had testified about what he had seen that morning. The judge had made a decision based on all the facts, even though there was no strong, tangible proof. Henry Dink was found guilty based on the evidence of Andrea and DL, as well as surveillance footage.
All of these investigative efforts would not have been fruitful had it not been for the information provided by DL. DL was instrumental in solving the murder and kidnapping of his sister.
The 51-year-old was convicted of first-degree murder and Brea Terrell's kidnapping.
Defendant Henry Earl Dinkins is guilty of the offense of, under count 1, murder in the first degree in violation of Iowa Code Section 707.2, paren 1, paren B, and guilty under count 2, kidnapping first degree in violation of Iowa Code Section 710.2, as contained in the trial information filed by the state of Iowa.
Henry Dinkin was granted the opportunity to address the court during his sentencing hearing on October 11, 2023. When the judge imposed 2 mandatory life terms for the kidnapping and murder of Brea Terrell. He spoke in considerable detail about his displeasure with the judge overseeing his case and his legal counsel. He also stated his conviction that racism played a role in the guilty decision against him.
I was already found guilty before this case and trial already began. I can see it as racial profiling behind my background. I'm saying this because how everything played out from the beginning all the way up to now. I contemplated over the moves that the state used to hinder my character to fit their benefits.
But at the end of it, Aisha gave her victim impact statement.
For you, Henry Dinkins, surrounded that night, that played through my mind every day. Did she want me? Was she scared? Did she see those gunshots coming? Did you shoot her while she was trying to get away? Did she scream for help? Did she beg you to stop? Did you see in her face when she realized she was shot the first time? What was her last words? Did you stay and watch my baby die? How long did she suffer? Did you watch the life leave from her beautiful hazel eyes? What did you do to my son? Why? Do you know the answers to any of these questions I asked, huh? Henry Dinkins, closure doesn't exist here in this case. Justice doesn't exist here in this case. You didn't just take away my baby's life. You didn't just take away my baby's life. You took away everything from me. My family's sense of security laughed.
After that, Henry Dinkin was sent to prison, where he will stay until he passes away. Aisha said, "I hope the consequences of what he did to Basho will haunt him for the rest of his life." Breasia Terrell's death had significant ripple effects throughout the city of Davenport, Iowa, and her family is currently working to rebuild their lives after this tragic loss. During the trial, the medical examiner held onto Breasia's remains. Now that it has concluded, her family can finally lay her to rest. The town is filled with memorials honoring Breasia, and many still visit her grave today to pay their respects. it is clear that her memory will endure forever as we consider the sad. Bria Terrell's case, though justice has been served, we are reminded of the terrible effect one person's actions can have on an entire community. Her life was senselessly cut short, and although justice has been done, Henry Dinkins believes that nothing can ever really heal the wounds. Her memory lives on not only in the hearts of her loved ones, but also in the collective spirit of Davenport, Iowa. We must continue to honor her by working to protect and cherish every child, putting their safety and well-being above all else. Left Behind Bri's story is a somber reminder of the vulnerability of our children and the importance of vigilance and compassion within our communities. We appreciate your presence today as we discuss Bria Terrell's tragic story.